Welcome to our channel on near-death experiences, NDEs. We'll explore stories of people who've been on the brink between life and death, returning with new perspectives. These accounts offer a unique glimpse into existence, life's meaning, and the universe. Each video is a journey through transformative experiences and spiritual discovery. We're creating a space of understanding and sharing for these extraordinary stories. Whether you're here out of curiosity or seeking comfort, we hope to bring you peace and awareness. Join us on this journey of spiritual exploration. Every moment is an opportunity to grow and love. Thank you for being here with us.
Joe, a man approaching 64 years old, born in March, recounts his life story, characterized by ups and downs, difficult experiences, and an extraordinary spiritual rebirth. A resident of Clark County, Las Vegas, Nevada, USA, since November 1952, Joe has lived a life marked by alcohol abuse, gambling, and poor choices. Throughout his life, Joe has been married and divorced 4 times, acknowledging that he was the primary cause of the unhappiness that led to the failure of his marriages. Despite the difficulties, Joe admits to having lived a comfortable life, enjoying a certain financial prosperity, which he took for granted. Joe's most serious problems began in 1988 when he became involved in issues with the tax office, which continued to plague him until 1990. During this period, Joe continued to work but eventually resigned from his job at a casino hotel and club, where he had worked as a bartender for almost 15 years, from 1978 to 1990. During this time, Joe did not receive a regular salary but earned thousands of dollars in tips. Joe's financial situation worsened to the point where he declared bankruptcy. Before falling ill, he was working part-time at a hotel across the street. The accumulated hatred and anger towards the tax office brought him to a breaking point, pushing him to abandon everything. He left the house he shared with his girlfriend in Las Vegas, with whom he had lived for 13 years, and moved into a mobile home. He continued to drink occasionally and work in hotels. In April 1990, Joe believes he achieved sobriety, emphasizing that he had never been a chronic alcoholic. Around April 17th, he began experiencing severe pain in his left arm, back, and chest. His doctor advised him to go to the hospital, but Joe, underestimating the situation, thought it was just a digestive problem. On April 20, 1990, around 3 p.m., while washing dishes in the kitchen, Joe was struck by excruciating pain in his eyes and chest. He managed to call emergency services but could only say, "I'm dead," before collapsing. He was rushed to the University Medical Center, where he underwent surgery that lasted from 3:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. The situation was so critical that a priest was called to administer last rites to Joe. Doctors informed the family that only a miracle could save him. During the operation, Joe's heart stopped, and doctors attempted to resuscitate him with defibrillators. At that moment, Joe recounts experiencing a near-death experience. He felt himself rise from his body and observe the scene from above. Subsequently, he found himself in a luminous tunnel, moving at high speed. At the end of the tunnel, Joe describes finding himself in a paradise-like place, with palm trees and golden railings. There he claims to have met God, dressed in white with a golden belt, brown hair, a beard, and piercing blue eyes. God reportedly told him, "Go back, Joe, it's not your time." The doctors reported that Joe's heart began beating strongly again, without an apparent explanation, as they had not stopped using the defibrillators. Joe showed extraordinary strength, trying to get off the operating table and removing the oxygen tube from his throat. It was necessary to restrain him before transferring him to intensive care, where he remained for a month. The first 2.5 weeks were particularly critical. Once transferred to a regular room with a view of Charleston Boulevard, Joe looked in the mirror and realized his condition. He was very thin, debilitated, and his body was covered with sutures and marks. At that moment, Joe made a promise to God. He would never again drink, smoke, or use substances that could harm or ruin the new life he had been granted. Joe kept his promise, defining this experience as the miracle on the 3rd floor of the University Medical Center, Cardiology Unit section. The doctors told him that his lungs, liver, and kidneys looked new, as if he had never smoked, drunk, or used drugs. Joe expresses deep gratitude towards the staff of the medical center's cardiology unit, recognizing their fundamental role in his recovery. Above all, he thanks God, whom he calls Jehovah Rapha, the great physician. After being discharged from the hospital, Joe found himself living on the streets for 18 months until he received disability insurance and pension. He interprets this period as a divine test, as if God were saying to him, "It's up to you. Show me that your promise was sincere." Joe demonstrated his faithfulness to the promise he had made. This near-death experience and subsequent recovery profoundly transformed Joe's life, leading him to renewed faith and a radical change in his lifestyle. His story is an example of redemption, resilience, and spiritual rebirth, demonstrating how, even in the most desperate situations, it is possible to find the strength to start over and give new meaning to one's existence.
If you enjoyed this video or you're interested in the topics we cover on this channel, I'd be really grateful if you could subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future content. Share the video with someone you think might appreciate it. Thank you so much for your support. Preface: near-death experiences, NDEs, can be profound, life-changing events. Remember, NDEs are subjective experiences, not proof of an afterlife or a guide for living. Channel purpose: this channel shares NDE stories and information, providing a platform for open discussion without promoting specific beliefs. Disclaimer: this content doesn't replace professional medical or psychological advice. If struggling with mental health issues, seek professional help immediately. If you've had an NDE and need support, consult a therapist experienced with NDEs. We don't promote suicide or self-harm. If considering suicide, contact a prevention lifeline immediately. Suicide prevention resources: National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 1-800-273-8255. Crisis text line, text HOME to 741741. Conclusion: we hope you find this channel informative. For questions, please contact us. Remember, suicide prevention is crucial. If you're struggling, seek help. You're not alone.